Good evening, you guys. Your boy Bill Mahari here, represent MehariNation Sports Podcast. Welcome to episode 31 of Basketball Conversations here on 4th of July. Salute to the entire LDBC and the basketball community. I hope you guys have been having a good weekend, so far. You know what I mean? I hope you guys have been staying safe out there, during this whole pandemic, thing, man. But normally I would be out, in Minneapolis, attending the fireworks show over there, but obviously they canceled it due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So, I've decided to stay home, and just stay away from the fray, let the people do whatever they want to do, but, worried about myself and my health. And apparently a lot of the other athletes in the NBA are doing the same thing tonight. So we got a lot to talk about here tonight, though. So I won't take up too much of your time, though. But if you are new to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon to get all the latest notifications when I start dropping videos and live streams. Okay. And also, I will also put in the PayPal link and the Cash App underneath the description box if you want to donate any money to the value of this channel. All right. So let's get it on here, shall we? All right. So, as I see all the people here in the building here today, Lewis Sports Network and Brandon Nicholson. Salute, though, brother. How you doing, though, guys? I hope you guys are doing great, though, tonight, okay? So, let's get down to the nit and gritty here, okay? So, here's what's been going on around here, though, too. So, word been popping around, the last couple of days that the Brooklyn Nets have been putting up an offer, a lucrative offer to, guess who? Drum roll, please. Gregg Popovich of the San Antonio Spurs. And so we don't know the details or the information about what the offer exclusively is, but what has been heard about is it's basically a very, very big offer that he probably may not refuse. And so we don't know what the details of that is. Now, before I came down and talked about that show, I wanted to hear, I wanted to see what the general manager Sean Marks, had to say on the speculating rumors about bringing possibly his former coach that he basically played for from 2003 to 2006. So he kind of just put out some tweets out there, and he had to answer that question to a rumor during a recent interview on WFAN radio in New York. So this is pretty much what he had to say via through USA Today. Pop has an amazing job, so I will say that. And obviously, we all know he's an amazing, amazing coach. And to be quite frankly, even a better leader. So I'll let Pop continue to coach for the Spurs. He owes it to them, and they owe it to him. I'm sure he's quite happy there. So he didn't necessarily, directly, answer, the question about it. He didn't necessarily say what the offer was or whatever that is to be the case. But I will tell you that, whatever the offer is something that probably wouldn't turn down for the least bit. Now, I will tell you this: coaching Brooklyn right now would be a better option for him at this point than probably coaching the San Antonio Spurs. Now, here's the reason why this. Okay, the Spurs right now, what it looks to me, in my personal observation, is they are looking to a different direction right now because they're understanding that their playoff streak dating back to 1998 is most likely coming to an end. And so I think right now, I think from my perspective is I think that they're looking towards a new direction or maybe a different face for the team, which is one of the reasons why they allowed Tim Duncan to coach the team for about a couple of weeks while Gregg Popovich was basically mourning the death of his wife. Now, if that were to be the case, I could see Tim Duncan coaching the Spurs and coaching up to be the next person in line to coach the team. And maybe Gregg Popovich may either have two other choices. He could either retire from coaching or move on to a different organization. And there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be putting up major offers for his services. Now, if you ask me the question of who would I want to have to coach this team, the Brooklyn Nets team, I'll be honest with you. I would want him to coach maybe the. I would want him. I would want to have. I would want him to see him not just coach the Nets, but maybe coach the Milwaukee Bucks and see what he can do with that team, or maybe coach the Atlanta Hawks. I don't know. Now, if you ask me, who would I want to be the coach of the Nets? I say Mark Jackson. I think that Mark Jackson deserves another chance to be a coach. I think that he has paid his dues, and I think that he was basically wrongfully fired, from Golden State and was never given a chance to see what he could do, long term with that team. I think that Mark Jackson deserves another chance. I would want him to coach that Brooklyn Nets team. But to be honest with you, I don't think it would be a bad idea neither to try to give Gregg Popovich a look at, because the one thing I can tell you about Gregg Popovich is that he does two things he does well. He's excellent at load management. He will not let his star players overextend a lot of their minutes. And plus, he knows his rotation of his players. He won't put his players in positions where they're going to fail if they're not really good at the job that they're basically given to. He's going to put you in positions where if you can be a good spot up shooter, or maybe a good rebounder, or maybe a good wing player, he's going to put you in positions on the floor in his motion offense to basically perform the jobs to the best of your ability. But it's up to you to fill those needs and requirements. And if you're not able to do that, then he's gonna either ride you hard or put you on the bench and put somebody else that's gonna do that job for you. Now, when he rides you hard, it's not trying to humiliate you, it's trying to direct the message across. And a lot of the new generation has a problem with, all the yelling and cursing and all that other stuff. Okay? And plus, you get to coach Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, two former champions. I mean, that's a perfect opportunity right there. I mean, think about this for a moment. He's coached Patty Mills into a decent player. He's coached Tony Parker into a Hall of Famer. All right. If he coaches up Kyrie Irving with his skill set and his ability to shoot, create his own shot, and also finish at the rim like a Rod Strickland, woo, man, oh man, oh man, that would just be a beautiful thing. You understand what I'm saying? That'd just be a beautiful thing to see. So, to be honest with you, I think that it would just be a great idea for him to go coach the Brooklyn Nets. But it's his choice. If he feels like that his time in San Antonio has pretty much run his course, he can leave whatever he wants. But if he wants to go out and seek a new challenge, he could go coach up the Brooklyn Nets and accept their offer. Now, again, we don't know the details of the offer yet because that information has not been posted out there yet, and it could be the case where they may not even post an actual physical offer. That is just maybe just more of coaching search, banter, that kind of thing. So to me, it's more of like a wait and see kind of situation because we need to see where this is going and we need to see how this was going to turn out. And so that's just how I kind of feel about that. But now let's move on to the next subject in hand here. Why we're still talking about this though, because I want to say the COVID-19 stuff for last. Now, as you guys already know too, that J.R. Smith basically is now signed with the Los Angeles Lakers after Avery Bradley has pretty much said that he was not coming back to the team because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now J.R. Smith has pretty much accepted a contract to play with the L.A. Lakers. Now I tend to have mixed feelings about J.R. Smith over the years. I mean, some of you guys know how much I feel about J.R. Smith. He's the kind of player that he's all over the place, but he can shoot you into games or he can shoot you out of games. And I don't know. I don't know if J.R. Smith has yet to recover from that experience that he had in the 2018 NBA Finals when he basically, lost his train of thought and made one of the biggest blunders that I have ever seen. I mean, I thought Nick Anderson's, free throw misses were worse, but what happened in 2018, man, I don't know. That's tough to recover from. But the one thing that I could tell you about what J.R. Smith, does well too is that he's a volume shooter and he's good at spot up and pull ups. And if he gets the right amount of touches, I mean he can really light the house on fire. But that's the key word, touches. Sometimes J.R. Smith is sometimes a bit of a vocal point too much to a fault. And sometimes I feel like J.R. Smith can do so much more than rather just stand around looking for perimeter jump shots. I mean, he's 6'6". He could be a slasher. He could get to the cup, and he doesn't get to the free throw line a lot. And so I'm like, really, you're gonna really chose this guy because Right now, the Lakers, right now, if you look at the roster the way it stands right now, there's no Dwight Howard, and we don't know if JaVale McGee is going to come over too because of his asthma issues. And so the roster to me is kind of a little bit weak at the moment. And so this is where I think that they should have invested a little bit more in getting Kyle Kuzma consistent minutes and get him going. But now you put yourself in the hole to now where the roster may be a little bit depleted. So we don't know how well J.R. Smith is going to come in and be a difference there. He could probably be the guy that he was back in New York when he won Six Man of the Year award in 2013, or he could just be the guy that just basically is mindless and does dumb stuff that just leave you scratching your head. So I don't know. I'm more on the lines of wait and see moment, but I just don't think that's going to make a difference. I heard about what Game Scott says that J.R. Smith is the X factor of the Lakers winning the championship. I don't know what they're seeing. I don't know what they're thinking about, but I think they're a little bit too off on their assessment here. Okay, J.R. Smith is a type of player that sure he can make a good couple of shots, but to say that he's an X factor, that's basically putting him in the class of all the other upper echelon players. Like, come on, let's slow the brakes on that. It's not like J.R. Smith is like a Klay Thompson or a CJ McCollum, those type of league guards. He's not. He's basically a volume shooter that needs touches to get himself going. But sometimes he only takes averages about at least 4 to 7 shots a game, and so we don't know. We don't know how that's just really going to go out. So that's just pretty much what it is. So let's check out the chat here real quick. I see my brother Jay Deal in the building. What's going on? 225 Girl, what's going on? How y'all doing? How you doing? Blue Sports Network says the media is acting like JR's will be the LeBron savior for his title run when he got ostracized for Game 1 in 2013. Two sides out of their mouths. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I ignored that. I ignored what their media is saying. Because, like, listen, it's like they pretend like the 2018 incident never happened. And guess what? It did. And remember what happened? It happened during the in between the breaks between the fourth quarter and overtime. I'll tell you what happened. LeBron found out that they still had a timeout remaining and basically submitted himself and quit. He legitimately quit. And so right now, the way I view it is this. As I check out a message real quick. Now, the way I look at this is okay. We these media people are just trying to hype something that is not really realistic at all. And the other thing too, you also have to take into account is simply this: we are sitting here looking at this guy. It's like he's just basically a savior that's gonna help LeBron get to where he wants to go. Come on, you guys. I know y'all are smarter. I know y'all are smarter than that. I know the people in the chat are smarter than that. J.R. Smith is just not consistent. He's never been a consistent player throughout his entire career. All right. When he was in New York, that was the best version of J.R. Smith pretty much of his entire career, where he knew his role as a six man. He could create energy, and he was pretty much could give you 16 to 18 points on a good night. But again, the key things that the Lakers need right now is defense and rebound. All right. You lose that in Avery Bradley. You lose that in Dwight Howard. All right. This is where I think that they should have invested in getting Kenneth Fareed or getting a Lance Stevenson. You need pit bulls in your bench to counter what the Clippers are going to throw at you. Okay. So let's check out the chat real quick. You know what I mean? Let's check them out real quick. Terry Bogard, he said, they're still going on Ticket Channel saying that Steve Nash is better than Stephon Marbury. You know what, though, man? I'm going to stay away from that subject there because whew, that subject was drove me crazy. Do y'all remember that Steve Nash averaged 15.5 points per game while they were the best team in the West and he still won MVP over Shaq and Kobe? I don't know, man. That just left to be behold. So let me just continue to the chat real quick. Louis Sport Network says, I thought AD was an X Factor. Now it's JR. He'll be the pinata if LeBron loses again. Anything is possible. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We know. Listen, Louis, you know what time it is when it comes to these media people. Like, listen, Anthony Davis was leading them in scoring and rebounding. The only thing he wasn't leading is assists, and yet they still try to give LeBron the most valuable player award because of the circumstances of what happened to Kobe Bryant. It's ridiculous, bro. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Frank Kaiser foremost, what's going on? One of my loyal subscribers. I hope you are doing well on this 4th of July day. You know what I mean? I'm not going outside tonight for them fireworks. You know what really makes me mad is when you have dumb people operating these fireworks, but then they start lining them up in the middle of the night when people are trying to sleep. Oh, that just drives me insane. J Deal says the Lakers lose defense and rebounding. Oh yeah, oh yeah. When you lose Avery Bradley and Dwight Howard in those key areas, that is the truth. Terry Bogard says I never want Dwight back on the Lakers. Hey, in a perfect world, I would have never even thought of Dwight Howard back on the team. But hey, they brought him back, so hey. But he's not playing for them anyway, so what's the point? Frank Casafomo says J.R. Smith will win it up being the scapegoat. Oh yeah, we know what time it is. Terry Bogard said they need to fire the GM. That I definitely agree. Rob Pelinka, that I definitely agree with. Yeah. I think that Rob Pelinka has made some moves that are just kind of like he's made some good moves, but he's made some questionable moves. And let's be real about this: if 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 David Griffin was not the general manager of the New Orleans Pelicans, do you really honestly think that they were going to pull off that trade for Anthony Davis? Absolutely not. Because remember, but when they still had Josh Hart, when they had Alonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram, they basically wanted those guys, and plus they wanted to include Kyle Kuzma in the trade, and the Lakers said no, and they backed out of the trade until David Griffin got there and basically restructured the whole thing. Let's be real about this. I don't think that they would have traded trade for Anthony Davis in the first place without David Griffin. That's just the facts. J. Dill says no Cousins, no Bradley, no McGee. You lose length, defense, and depth. I definitely agree with you. No doubt. Definitely agree. Uh, let's see here. 89 TV, what's going on, brother? Welcome. We got a new member in here. We got Mexi Meta, Mexi Mental 96.2. Hey, man, bro, thank you for coming in. Welcome to the channel, though, bro. Salute to you. 225 Girl says, oh, he's talking to Frank Kaiser foremost. Okay. J Dill says, Kings versus Warriors, who wins that series? I don't think. J Dill, you're trying to set me up for that one, though, bro. I'm still going with the Warriors. I think the Warriors, if they're healthy with their key guys, they'll blitz on the Kings. But the Kings are not too bad of a team. They just need better coaching. That's just how I see it. We got awesome 1985. What's going on, bro? Thank you for coming in. He says the Lakers have no bench. Oh yeah, they have no bench, none. You mean to tell me? And this is where they didn't use Kyle Kuzma correctly. Because Kyle Kuzma, if they would have given him consistent minutes, he would have been a huge difference for their bench. But because they tried so hard to cut Kyle Kuzma's minutes and try to eliminate him off of the rotation, now you've held the bench back a bit. And don't give me Alex Caruso, bro. Don't give me Alex Caruso. That dude gets scored on a lot. And they try to label him as a defensive stopper. Get out of here, man. Get out of here. So let me go back up there. So to the fact that I said, I feel you. Terry Broadcast says, Dean Fish needs to be the Lakers GM. Not after what happened to what the whole situation with Matt Barnes and his ex-wife or whatever. See, not a lot of people in the NBA circles like Derek Fisher after the whole Matt Barnes incident because they look at Derek Fisher as a sneaky rat. So I don't see it. I don't think that's ever going to work. I don't see it. What's going on, JCV? What's going on, bro? He said, do you think JR will be able to play defense like Bradley? No, he was never known for defense. You're asking J.R. Smith to actually play legitimately defense. The guy gets scored on every single time, and he basically is lazy on his defensive switches. You're asking J.R. Smith to actually play straight up defense. I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at the idea of J.R. Smith playing defense. Like, no way. there's no way that you could tell me that J.R. Smith can actually legitimately play defense. Like, get out of here, bro. That just ain't happening. That ain't happening. if he said, okay, so look, and Brandon Nicholson, what's going on, brother? He said the Lakers didn't have depth as it is. Losing Bradley is a big blow. It seems to me that the Lakers are trying to lose. You may be. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the Lakers are gonna do because right now the Clippers have more. They have more pieces to their bench than the Lakers do. This is where the loss of not having Lance Stevenson and not getting Kenneth Faried is going to hurt them in the long run. Terry Bogard says, "You guys sleeping on Quinn Cook?" Well, we'll see how Quinn Cook looks. I think that down the line he could probably be one of those guys that come off the bench and give some energy and shooting. But I need to see more out of Quinn Cook. I need to see more out of him. J. Dill says Cook isn't Bradley, and he said that the Raptors might win because of COVID-19. You're funny. Terry Bogard said the Raptors are not repeating. Ticket said it himself. I know they're not repeating. I don't think he's gonna. I don't think he's going to. I don't think they're gonna repeat because, you know, the thing is though, bro. Like they play very well and they play with a cohesive unit, but they don't have a go-to guy that is going to get them guaranteed buggers or make the big plays. Pascal Siakam could do that, but I need to see more out of Pascal before I can really jump on that. Jay Dill basically says ticket is not the Bible. You know how ticket is. He always think. Listen, I love ticket, but here's the thing. Sometimes he's not always right, and that's all right. I don't agree. I don't agree. Like I said, I don't believe that Stephon Marbury is a Hall of Famer to me. I mean, listen, he didn't win MVPs. He didn't make it. He didn't get his team out of the first round. And sure, he was averaging 23 points per game in his prime. But what was he doing during his time that helped his team get over the hump? We didn't see that enough in Minnesota because he traded himself the hell out of there. And more importantly, when he was in Phoenix, they were already building up a team in spite of Marbury. He was just there just to make them relevant again. And they drafted Amari Stoudemire. They already drafted Sean Marion too before Marbury ever came. And then after that, when they got Steve Nash, it pretty much got them to where they wanted to be. It's just that they never had the defense to do it. You get what I'm saying? So let me go ahead and check out the chat once again. Awesome 1985 says if the Lakers lose this year, it will be for a rig. The league will rig for a trade for Dame Dollar. Nah, I wouldn't believe that to be the case because Damian Lillard does not want to play with LeBron James. Not a lot of these stars. What people y'all got to understand is that the media wants to try to play like LeBron James is also a great teammate. Then why is it that a lot of the stars are playing better after LeBron leaves? Case in point, um, Rodney Hood. When Rodney Hood, came into the Cavaliers, he was virtually a non-factor and wasn't getting any playing time, and he got upset over that. But when he got shipped to Portland, he was a totally different player. He was actually one of their key guys off the bench that gave him instant scoring and instant energy. And also, the other thing too was that Kevin Love was also going through, mental problems though too when he was playing with LeBron, and Kyrie Irving was basically growing restless of LeBron's, constant nagging, and more importantly, the kind of media attention LeBron gets of the credit that he doesn't really deserve at all. So a lot of these star players see that, and it's like, why put up with this? Because if you're teaming up with LeBron, you get little credit and you get the majority of the blame. So it's not a most friendly environment to be around. That's just is what it is. So JCV says they put Kyle on defense and rebounding, and they won't let him cook. Yep, I do agree with that. Brandon Nicholson says there's something missing with the Raptors. I do agree. I think that they have the components to do it. I think they have the components to do it. I think that they just need a go-to guy that's going to lead them over the hump. Now, keep this in mind. Y'all have to remember about this. Uh, Giannis is going to be a free agent after the season is concluded. Now, if the Milwaukee Bucks, let's keep this very, very clear. And sorry, 78, if you're listening, but let's make this very clear. If the Milwaukee Bucks do not get to the NBA Finals and win the chip, he's going to leave. And I will tell you, and a big factor is Masai Ujiri has a great relationship with Giannis and his family, because remember, Giannis' family basically came into America, and Masai Ujiri helped his family relocate to the U.S. And so, if Masai Ujiri, who's currently still with the Raptors, if Masai Ujiri wants to bring in Giannis, Giannis will not hesitate to leave Milwaukee to go to Toronto. I guarantee you that. He will not go to Golden State because they're basically too much into the cap to make any room for him at this point. And listen, the Andrew Wiggins contract is going to eat up a lot of their salary. This is what you get for trading for him. It's going to come down to either Milwaukee winning the ship, or if they don't win the ship. And the other thing too is the Bucks right now, they don't have enough money in the cap to bring in other players or move the other pieces around to create more room to bring in new guys in. So I think right now it's either championship or bust for the Bucks, and if they don't get it done, Giannis is going to Toronto. I guarantee you that. He also said, "You beat me to it. The Raptors need that Kawhi, that closer." Yep, absolutely. J. Deal says Marbury is not a Hall of Famer. Yeah. Listen, I respect Marbury, what he was able to do, but the problem is he just wasn't able to adjust his game and adjust to what his team wanted him to do. Now, it doesn't help when you're playing for the New York Knicks because they're a trashy organization. That much is true. I think that in long term, I think that Marbury, his time in New York was pretty much a huge negative for himself. Now, what he was able to do in China, I think that might give him, some good conversation of putting him into the Hall of Fame, because what he was able to do in China during that 4-year run was just unbelievable. I think that his run in China may warrant some Hall of Fame status and may get him in there. But if you just go projectly by his NBA stats, he doesn't get in. But I think the China case helps him more than hurts him. 25 Girl says Haj at Mohari. And this guy also said John Morant's the truth. All right. Yeah, I think John Morant might be a good player down the line. I think so. 25 Girl said, "Do you think the Bucks will eventually win the title?" If it depends. It depends on if Chris Middleton steps up and be more consistent and play in the big moments. That right there is going to be the key. I don't know. I don't know if Chris Middleton could do that, because there's sometimes Chris Middleton can be hot and can lit the place on fire and can provide you the second wheel. But sometimes there are times where he just is not involved in the offense. That to me is the real X factor, because we know what Giannis is going to give you. But the other factor is how much can you get from Chris Middleton in the big stage in the playoffs. That's going to be the key, in my opinion. J. Dill says, H Money, you saying that because you've been Memphis. Okay. H Money says, Luke Doncic is my favorite player. He averages 29 points and 9 rebounds, saying he just turned 21. Yeah, I do agree. I think Luka Doncic is going to be a really, really good player, barring injury. But I'm tired of the media hype about this guy. He needs to get in the playoffs and do something in the postseason before I give him all the hype. I did the same thing with Dirk Nowitzki when I was a kid, and it took him it took him an entire decade to win a championship in Dallas. So I'm going to pump the brakes on that one. But I do respect what he's been able to do, because he's been balling out a lot. Terry Bogard says the Lakers better win it all in 10 years. I'm sick of the wait next year. If they do not win, fire the GM. I know. I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. Lewis Sports Network said, "Did you hear about Landry Shaman tested positive for COVID-19?" I was just about to talk about that. Yeah, I did hear about that. I just heard about that. Yes, absolutely. All right. JFE says, if the Raptors get Giannis, they're definitely going to win the ship. Oh yeah, and plus you also got Siakam. You also still got Kyle Lowry, who can still give you 15 to 18 points a game, barring injury. We'll see what happens. But let's get on to the next subject at hand here. Let's move the mouse here real quick. Yeah, he said, man, all these players tested positive and the season didn't even resume. I know, exactly, man. Look what it is. Miss Tay Brown. Hey, beautiful. I hope you're doing well tonight. I hope you're staying safe out there. You know what I mean? I hope you're staying safe out there. You know what I'm saying? The mac and cheese is still mine. Just kidding. Just kidding. All right, Mexi Metal 96-2 says, how good of a chance do the Celtics have of pulling off an upset in the playoffs? They have a decent starting five, but their bench is shaky. If Kemba Walker plays out of his mind, then maybe. And if Jason Tatum steps up and plays like the capable All Star that he is, maybe. I wouldn't put it past against the Celtics, but the problem is they don't have a good bench. If Marcus Smart doesn't come back from that injury, I don't know. I simply don't see it. I just don't see it. All right, so let's talk about the whole pandemic. Okay, so here's what's been going on around in the NBA here these days. Okay. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. The NBA right now is about to resume basketball later on this month, right? But here's the big problem to this: players are becoming more and more sick right now. Okay, because this week, here's what's happening here: 9 more players tested positive for the COVID-19 virus back from June 24th through June 29th. Okay, so therefore, as I said in my previous video, this brings the positive test results to 25 positive test results out of 351 players that's basically come back to play basketball in this bubble in Orlando, which is now at a positive rate of 7.1%. That means 16 players tested positive on the first day of testing on June the 23rd. And when you also consider the fact about the NBA staff members, 10 out of the 884 staff members also tested positive for the virus. And it doesn't stop there, because already the Miami Heat, the LA Clippers, they've already closed their practice facility following positive test results of the COVID-19. This is what I've been talking about for the last month here, guys. This is what I've been talking about since the pandemic began. This is entirely a big issue that all the sports leagues are dealing with right now. I mean, look what's happening here in Minnesota. Um, One of the best Twins players, Miguel Sano, who's their top young slugger and who plays at third base, just tested positive for COVID-19. And also, the what's the guy's name again? Let me check out what his name is real quick. Just check out the name real quick. Um, like, name for the Raptors. Can somebody post the name of that guy that tested positive who played for the Raptors? Uh, Shoot, what was his name? What was his name? Shoot. All right, all right. I'll figure that out later on. But the point is, though, the point is, right now, a lot of these players are are basically still unsure about coming back into this whole bubble thing, and the positive tests are starting to come out of the woodwork. I mean, in NASCAR, their top racer, Jimmy Johnson, him and his wife tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. And the other thing too is this: Khabib Nurmagomedov's father died a couple of days ago from the virus. Because here's the thing, though, guys. Right now, what everybody's got to understand is this: what everybody needs to understand is simply this: this virus is not going away for a long time. It is not going away. And the bigger thing too is that all these other sports leagues, you can name it off the top of your head, they're all concerned about, with the money and in terms of, the revenue and things of that sort. And right now, it's pretty much getting to a point right now that a lot of these positive test results are coming out of the woodwork. I mean, you look at what's going on in Atlanta right now; they're averaging 10 to 20,000 cases a day. And we don't even know we don't even know how many of them are actually legitimately the virus, actually the actual virus. My point is this, okay? what the leagues should have done is basically postpone the season, at least up, and basically cancel the season and start next season in December. That way, you have a better idea of how the trajectory of what this virus is going to be like. Okay, you already know you're not going to have any fans. You already know that you're most likely you're going to have just people, just players, coaches, and staff. Okay, now the other thing too is that what's the word that comes out of my mouth? The other thing too is right now is that the NBA is basically a 5-on-5 basketball game, in which there's a better chance you might be able to control the spread a bit. But think about what's going to happen in the NFL. They have yet to still resume their league. Needed rest from my throat. And you're asking the NFL that they're going to basically bubble out 1,200 people in one simple bubble of all 30 teams in the NFL. I mean, it's physically impossible. There's no way you could do it. I mean, right now the NBA is basically stuck in a position where they're gonna have to wait and see on this whole thing. I just think right now they should have just canceled out the entire year. And Adam Silver is still optimistic that they were able to resume basketball, but he has not put out the possibility of canceling out the entire season. You know what I mean? I just think right now it's just not safe to continue basketball. There's just too many cases right now. There's too many incidents of COVID-19 spreading around right now throughout all these practice facilities and things of that sort. Because a lot of these leagues and people who work in these leagues, they don't understand. These players, they're they have to protect and take care of their families. And if they bring the virus in with them, that means that the other family members could possibly be exposed to the virus, which could create even a bigger problem. And so I think right now, I definitely agree with you. Yes. I think right now it's just not safe to put these players out there to get them to play any type of basketball, and more importantly, getting that basically exposing them to the possibility of having contamination of the virus. And there's new mutations coming in though too, as I've seen some of the reporting that I've seen. It's just not safe. I understand that a lot of these players need the money because a lot of them do not, save their money or invest in their money well. You know what I mean? But that's on the players. Listen, the NBA, you cannot depend on the league to save your behind every single time when something like crisis come into the woodwork. Okay, this is gonna continue to get worse. And right now, I'm more lining into the fact that, listen, if the NBA just comes in and just says, listen, we're going to stop playing basketball and we're going to try to resume the season in December and then work on a new CBA to try to make sure these players are still getting their money, then you know what? Then I have no problem with that agenda at all. But if if that's the problem that these leagues are going to have to figure out, then so be it. But if they're so hell bent of resuming basketball or resuming any sport for that matter, I'm not watching a single one of them. The only time I'll probably see this is some highlights, but that's about it for me. Okay, it's not safe. I just don't think right now is the right time to think about resuming any level of basketball under any of these circumstances after the things I've been talking about. So that's pretty much my 2 cents on the whole situation here. Okay. So 1 second here. Oh, oh my. Sorry, but guys, hold on one moment. There we go. There we go. All right, sorry, my fault, y'all. And the other thing too is, and also what Jay Dill also said is, this championship is not a credible one to me, anyways. Yep, that's right. You know what? And that's the other thing too that Jay Dill just brought up too as well. The other thing too that people tend to forget is that even if any of those teams, which also those include LeBron, if they even go on to win the ship, it's not going to mean anything. It's going to be an asterisk championship under basically very, very difficult circumstances, which is one of the reasons why I'm not supporting the idea of returning back to basketball. And if you listen to any of these mainstream media shows talking about, oh, listen, I have no problem with them, resuming basketball. And with guys like Stephen A. Smith of the world that basically say, hey, They should not even think about canceling basketball. Yeah, sure, you would say that because it basically suits your paycheck. But I would bet you that he's not going to be one of those people that's actually going to go down to that bubble and pretty much cover those games. He's not doing that at all. We all know what time it is. And so the bottom line is this. The league should have came out and canceled the season. I have been consistent about that on my shows and through the videos I have done. All right. It's not safe to do it. I just think that right now the league is going to make a terrible mistake down the line if they continue to make these kind of decisions. That's just how I feel about this whole matter. So that's just how I kind of see it there. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much all I have for tonight, though, guys. So, I want to thank all the people that's coming into the channel, though, too, and all the new people coming in. We're 18 subscribers away from the big 800. So, for everybody that's here on the channel, though, too, make sure to hit the subscribe button and make sure to hit the like button, too. And make sure to share the channel on your social media platforms to spread the word about the channel, though, too. So, Terry Brokard says, I say wait until September. Hey, I don't disagree with that at all. I think that'd be a better idea. Wait until September to see where all this is heading, and then make a better projection about it at the moment. I think that would be a better idea. So, and J Deal says coming back in out of shape and distractions. Yeah, that's very difficult to do. Definitely very difficult to do. But I'm gonna go ahead and shut down for the night, though, guys. But thank you guys for coming in. Showing all the love and support, though, man. I personally apologize for not doing the show on last night. I had some stuff I had to take care of, though, too. But I will be on for every Friday night, 9 p.m. Central Time, right here on this channel. So make sure to hit the like button on the way out, though, too. And we're gonna have much more news that I'll make sure to share. And also check out all the videos I've done so far, though, too. And make sure to hit the like button and give me any comments you want me to do. And if you want me to do any other videos that you want me to create, just comment me on the videos and I will do that for you ASAP Rocket. All right. But y'all stay safe out there on this 4th of July night, though, man. Don't just stay away. Keep your social distancing. Stay safe out there and don't mess around with them fireworks because you don't want to lose no limbs. Just ask Jason Pierre-Paul about that. But thank you guys for tuning in. This has been a Beal Mehari, represent MehariNation Sports Podcast for Basketball Conversations. Much love to the entire LDBC. And we out. Y'all have a good night, guys.